Hello, wonderful people. I have some more thoughts to share with you today. If you've never met me, I'm Will Thunderhawk, and here I like to share my thoughts and feelings. So I'm going to jump into it today. Today, we're going to talk about seasons and motivation. So, something that I've been really thinking about a lot when I'm thinking about my self-care, my own development, is how my environment affects me, right? And something I really notice here is as we've been moving into winter in the UK, it's November at time of recording, stuff's getting darker, right? So we had like a really bright summer, a lot of heat, right? For me, that was a lot because I was a bigger dude back then. I'm losing weight. Things are going pretty well. But the heat really affected me and it made it hard for me to kind of focus and be present. But I feel like I was getting into a good groove of things in how I was like understanding where I'm at and then helping myself not get stuck and fall into these kind of pits that I fall into. And I feel that the seasons kind of influence and facilitate our motivations in different ways, and I guess I wanted to talk about that a little bit today. In that, I think different seasons, right? They create different environments, contexts for us, right? When it's bright and sunny outside, we want to like maybe be outside if we like the heat. If we hate the heat, we want to be inside, right? If it's autumn, which it has been recently, maybe you want to be outside a little bit more, but you want to be outside a different way. Maybe you're appreciating the colourful leaves that are falling off of the trees all around us. And maybe that's affecting how you look at the world. And I guess for me, that's kind of shaped my motivation a little bit, because I guess something I've noticed in how I'm like motivated towards the things that really matter for me. I like, how are my basic needs doing? Like, am I taking care of myself? Am I the right temperature? Am I drinking enough water, etc., etc.? And I think all of this affects ultimately how aligned I feel as a person, because something that I kind of wrestle with sometimes, right, is the challenge between being agreeable and doing like what aligns with me, because my nature is to be very agreeable, which has served me and also not served me in other ways. So that's something I have to kind of mediate a lot in my head when I think about like navigating social situations. And often I feel I project a lot of kind of my assumptions of what is proper and agreeable in social situations, which leads to me not conveying my needs. So, and to come back to the head of it, seasons of motivation are affected a lot, because when it's really cold and wet and damp and dark, right? As of time of recording, it's 11 a.m. in the UK right now. I've got a window right here. I'm looking out this window and it is damp and dreary and dark. Okay? And like seeing that affects like how I feel. Maybe as obvious as that sounds to some of you. And the less sunlight there is, then I notice that the kind of lower my energy levels are, and it has me thinking in different ways. And it's like, well, why are you even thinking about this stuff? Well, you might ask. And I guess I would say in that is like, I have these kind of through point goals that I'm like chucking away at and doing, enjoy making content. I've been ramping up the YouTube shorts recently and making kind of a lot of videos, little reflections, mostly music. And I'm enjoying that process. That's really, really good. But something I notice is like I'm like motivation's kind of tipping off at a certain point. Something I really notice is that I feel when I'm at the end of a creative process, like my inner critic starts coming in and starts judging a lot more. A lot of ideas feel like they're filtered out by my inner critic a lot quicker and easier. And I feel that the season affects that, right? So when it was like blatantly autumn and it was a bit sunnier out, the sun would help me maybe feel a little more optimistic, a little more vitamin D in my system, and that would help me continue when the inner critic would get a little louder. Okay, so I bring this all up to say, like, if you've got a goal and a thing you're working towards, right, which is something I think about a lot, like how do we stay on the track of the goal? How do we continue and persevere when others may falter, right? Because like that's where I think the value creation comes from like whatever we do as individuals, whatever we're doing, right? Whether it's you're a chef or you're a university lecturer or you're a soldier, all of that requires like consistent things you're like batting at and drilling towards and improving at, right? Like what are the factors that influence those? I think are really important to be aware of. Something I've noticed that I've kind of slipped off the bandwagon of a little bit recently, I think due in part to the seasonal shift, is like self-care. It's really amazing how those things can slip very easily. And I bring this up because I hope to inspire you all to think about like, as the skies are getting darker, if you live in the UK, if you live in other countries that are also moving into winter, I'd love to hear your thoughts. But as we're moving into darker parts of the year, what can we do to keep taking care of ourselves? Okay, so I love going for walks. It kind of feels hard and bad to go for walks right now when it's torrential raining a lot. It's raining right now. But that rain can facilitate different states for me. I find rain very reflective. So how can I use this state, this like change in how my head is seeing the world, to my advantage and work towards my goals? Okay, so it might be that I'm going to release more like thinky content. It might be that I'm going to like write sad jazz music. That's something that seems to come out of me a lot when it's raining and it's dark. But it might be that I'm going to have to figure out different ways to meet my physical needs, like go to the gym at different times, and be aware of maybe my nutrition and shoring up the vitamin D. But I think these are all important things to think about when I'm thinking about motivation in the different seasons. So a few kind of final thoughts here to share for you guys, and then you can be on your way. But what, for me anyway, what is going to help my self-care continue? For me, self-care continuing will be like physical activity, going to the gym, also journaling. I used to journal every day, and I slipped off of that, I think, in due part to the seasons shifting. And I noticed that's had me having less awareness on how I'm feeling each day, and then that's decreased how I'm journaling even more. And then I'm having negative feelings kind of hang around in my head, and then I'm struggling to be present, right? Then I'm going on my phone more and doom scrolling more. And this is an interesting downward spiral that I feel is easy to fall into for all of us, right? These little environmental things that we might not notice can really easily negatively snowball or positively snowball. So I really encourage you all to like look at what's going on for you in your life and like what are the tiny little changes that are maybe turning your momentum in the other way, because that can make or break the states you might be in. It certainly has for me for the past couple weeks as it's gotten really darker and we're like really like winter now. Because I find winter for me is a double-edged blade. It intensifies some emotions which I can then use for music, but it also maybe a sad seasonal affective disorder, but really induces certain other states in me, reflective, quiet, low energy, slow, and it makes it harder for me to have some oomph to get up and go, and I'm sure there are some very real brain reasons for that, and it has me thinking a lot about what the next few months will look like, what Christmas might look like if you celebrate that. But I think I'm going to leave that there for today. Think about your environment, think about how the shifting seasons might be affecting you and your motivation towards what you care about. That's certainly what I've been thinking about. You've been wonderful. I've been Will. Good luck and take care.